Up like Donald Trump, say slang like them Trump. She gon' chew you up, yeah. Twerk like she from rap. Don't get me wild up. Soldiers at a 10. Look what you done done. Now you done fucked up.
All right, coming to you live from Altamont Springs, Florida. This is Young Casper representing RFM Radio, the Young Casper Show. Excuse me for the little cursing in the beginning. I just wanted to put on a song for celebration for the Trump supporters. I'm not necessarily big into political, but tonight we're going to jump into it. And I believe that it needs to be talked about not only from a point of view of the social media or a point of view of a supporter, a supporter of Christ, even though I'm not necessarily perfect, but my opinions and what I believe is next for America is what we will be discussing tonight. And we will definitely jump into a couple Bible verses about authority. And we will be talking about that tonight. And I hope that you have had a great week. Tomorrow is Friday for you only week workers during the week. And it's been a pretty good week, actually. It's gone pretty fast for me. I don't know about you, but you know, like I do in a majority of the beginning of my shows, considering I am by myself on the mic, I like to vent. I like to kind of go through my week, not necessarily my week of what I did, you know, list everything that I did, but kind of go through how I felt. So it's been a really good week, and I'm looking forward to the weekend. And what's the future like for America? Now, I know there are a lot of people out there that are very disgusted that Donald Trump is our president. And remarkably, I can kind of understand. Because, you know, there was so many voters that voted for Hillary Clinton. And to lose is not necessarily fun. But, you know, the country has spoken. And even though I wasn't, kind of had a glitch there, internet connection. But what I was saying is Donald Trump he can't do it by himself. But I honestly, when it got down more to the election and listening to a couple of the debates and this and that, and I've seen how the social media bashed him, and as they continue to, and I don't necessarily watch the news too much. I try not to, but when I'm at the house, it's definitely on TV, you know, with the parents. So it's something that it's going to be something that you can't ignore. And if you completely ignore it, then it's just, you know, you don't have any concern or respect for the country, because the people in power, the people of authority, yes, we may not agree with them and at times disagree, but at the end of the day, God has placed those types of people of authority for a reason, and they will be judged just like all of us, you know, for the works we have done and for the more themselves, you know, and we do the same thing. You know, we can't bash people that are sinning more than us. Doesn't matter if you sin one time. It doesn't matter if you sin 100 times. Sinning is sinning. And just my point of view is just to confess it. You know, at the end of the day, you know, we are imperfect human beings. Someone is going to hurt you that is close to you. Someone is going to offend you that is close to you and that you have a lot of respect for. And I know that you've probably already gone through that. But we as individuals sometimes say the things without thinking. And people take it out of proportion, and you can see how Donald Trump was in rallies, and they only take certain little clips of what he said, but they don't even follow up on what, you know, he said in the beginning of that. And, you know, the same thing for Hillary. I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, the social media was completely great on her either. But the thing about it is, the polls were wrong. You know, I'm not a supporter of Trump. I wasn't a supporter of Hillary. But as it got more and more down to the election, I started to see that Trump would be a better president. As much as, you know, the things that he has said, I don't necessarily agree with. And I don't necessarily, you know, think that there's a lot of people that have agreed with him, because even the voters that voted for him, you can ask just about every voter that voted for Donald Trump that they cannot necessarily agree with 100% of who he is and what he represents. But to have another Clinton in there and to have the first man ever, it's just, I don't think we're ready for that. We're just now, as an American, as Americans, we are getting over, the gays and the marriages and, the things that, a lot of people are frowning upon. And, it's a tough topic to talk about because people don't want to talk about it necessarily, but there are, a lot of gays that don't like straight people. They just don't like them. And, as much as, it's gay people talk about love and this and that, they do hate. I mean, I don't care if you're gay. That's your will. That is your choice. If that's what you want to do, then by all means, you have the gift of the will to do whatever it is you please. I'm not going to judge you because that's not my job, but there are others in this world that judge. Either if you're straight or gay, you go against the other one. But how can you necessarily go against the other one? You can have your opinion, but like everyone has one. Does your opinion really matter? Because people are going to do what they want to do. They're just not going to care what you think or what you believe, and I don't like people that bash people for what they've done or what they represent. I mean, God gave us the will to do what we want. That's why his love is separated from any love that we can have towards one another as human beings, because there's no restriction. There's no, pressure to stay, and that is one thing that I believe a lot of people misconcept of what God really is, because God doesn't force you. The people of the church force you, and it's not necessarily God. That's them wanting to have you in their community and communion, to have money put into it. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. But when we're talking about God, he already blessed us with Jesus, blessed us with the Holy Spirit. And I know there's a lot of people that don't believe that or don't believe in it. And you know what? That's fine. That's the greatest thing, God, and kind of a curse too, because it's mysterious. But he gave us that will to either drift towards him or drift away from him. And I believe that's one thing that, a lot of people don't understand. And that's okay. I believe God has a timing for everyone to not necessarily, transfer right over into believing in this and that, but everyone still has that sense of there's something more to this life than what we're doing and what we've done. And I'm here tonight to tell you that there's a reason why I'm doing these live radio shows. And I am getting a little off topic, but we need to talk about it. We really do need to talk about it. And I really enjoy doing these radio shows every week because I know that I'm reaching out to someone. And if I can save one soul, then I've done enough. I've done my job. But I want to save more, and I put I in the sentence, but it's really all praise goes to God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. I'm just a messenger. I'm just like the mailman that comes with your package. You want that package so bad, but you need it to be delivered to you. That's basically who I am. Forgive me, we lost a little bit of connection. But like I was stating, there's a lot of things that are going against Donald Trump. And what we need to do is not bash him. We need to pray for him. We need to pray that he'll be successful, because if he's successful, we're successful. And I know there's a lot of people that have different opinions, but let's just jump back on what we even do as human beings. We tend to say things that we don't necessarily want to say, but they come out. And I believe that's what Donald Trump has done. I'm not necessarily, saying that it's okay, because it's not. Some of the things that he has said, allegations, I won't, I don't go off that he said, she said shit. And I'm losing a little bit of connection. I believe this man's economic mindset is something that could help this country. But the thing about it is, we're in such a hole that, going back to what I was saying in the beginning, it can't just be Donald Trump. And if Hillary Clinton was president, it can't just be Hillary Clinton. We need the Congress. We need the banks. We need people to start coming together and looking more past just themselves. Now, I understand you have to get yours. You work, you have to eat, you have to do whatever you have to do, provide for your family. Understandable. But there are homeless people that just need that pick me up. And you can call it a handout, but there's so many people that are in the poor, under poverty level, that are working their butts off, and they are really the engine to this economy. And if we can be able to be lifted in that sense, in middle class, high class as well, all of us, if we all can come together and build a foundation off of making this country great. And I'm not going to say again, because it was never really our country to begin with. It was the Indians. So, it starts from there. But anyways, life, it is what it is. And we, as, talking about our ancestors, took over this land, and we need to make this land right. Now, where are my opinions and beliefs on immigration? Now, a lot of Trump supporters supported him, majority of them, because he wanted to get the immigrants out. Now, let me educate those that are against Donald Trump for this reason, and those that are for him. And this goes back again to saying some things that sometimes we don't think about it. We just say it because we have that feeling to get it off our chest, even when we're talking to somebody. And it feels like you got it. That's the same thing that has happened in this situation, where it is, everyone that is not registered gots to go. It's not necessarily that. It's the ones that do crime. It's the ones that put harm. And there are a lot in this country. And I know that some people won't like me for the things I say, because maybe your brother, you're a good person, you're a hard worker, but your brother is in some sort of gang or in some sort of this, and he's not even registered to be here, but somehow you got him here. I understand that you may be offended by what I say, but those types of people that commit crimes, violent crimes at that, not just drugs, and I'm talking about killing people for looking at them wrong. Those types of people, I'm sorry, should be in cages. Because if you continue to do something over and over again, it's something that I understand you have to provide, but everyone is different on this topic, and I know that it is a touchy topic. But I think and believe that it's going to be a mission to do that, to get all them criminals that aren't supposed to be here, are not registered. It's going to take a long time to rally those up. And putting the wall up and doing these things that Donald Trump has said would take more than 4 years. But there's always a but. There's always something that's going to come into the way. I think he can do a lot of things in 4 years. But the thing about it is, he's going to have to do so good that all the people that voted for him, and he's going to need to have some more support, we'll have to have him be reelected to do more good. Because 4 years is a very short period of time. People don't understand how fast a year goes by now.